Wow. I mean, unexpected results, to be honest. Looking at the performance we saw against PSG for Chelsea, you'd kind of be thinking they would give Bayern a tougher game. And I think they did play well. I think if you're a Chelsea fan, you look at this, you I think the only negatives you can take from this game as a Chelsea fan is you made a lot of mistakes. And coming up against an experienced Bayern Munich that have players that have been in the Champions League for years and years and years and years, you can see that they capitalized on all the mistakes Chelsea made. And that's what makes a really good Champions League team. If you come up against a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, PSG, an experienced Champions League team, they are going to capitalize on little mistakes that you're going to make, which makes them very good Champions League teams. And I think if Chelsea came up against another maybe inexperienced Champions League team or a team that doesn't have that much experienced Champions League players, maybe they have a better result. But I do think this was a needed reality check for Chelsea in the sense that I think coming into this game, they probably felt they could have given Bayern a game in relation to the fact that they gave PSG a game. So I'm sure they came into this match with that mindset, and it was probably that, mindset that maybe led them to making the mistakes that they made. Bayern played very well. I'm very impressed with Company because I think 3 seasons ago, the time Madrid met them in the Champions League semi-final, I believe, I wasn't that impressed because I was looking at the fact that he didn't win the league with Alonso, which again, Alonso was a good manager. And I think maybe using that first season against Company probably wasn't fair because again, Alonso was a good manager and he did well to go unbeaten that entire season with Leverkusen. I didn't necessarily give Company the credit that he probably did deserve because the team he has put together, the players to get the quality, the player of the quality of Elise is very good scouting from Vincent Company to get such a good player. And I think he's a main important player for Bayern Munich at the moment. And I'm very surprised a lot of people do not talk about Elise when it comes to European football, when it comes to players who play very well in European football. I'm very surprised a lot of people don't talk about Michael Olise. And I think going forward, he's going to be very key. If Bayern Munich are to make it very far in the Champions League, I think he's going to be very key for them. And again, it's very surprising I've not seen a lot of people talk about him in relation to players that have played very well or players that perform well in the Champions League, because I'm sure this is not a one-time performance. I'm sure he's been performing like this last season and the first season for Bayern Munich. So I'm sure this is not a one-time performance. And again, it's very weird, I think, is the word I'm looking for, to see people not really talking about him. Harry Kane, obviously Harry Kane is a good player, not really going to talk about that. I want to focus more on Chelsea because I think if you have Champions League experience as a fan who've watched a lot of Champions League game, I think you would go more I think you would lean more towards Bayern winning this game. I don't think this is really a surprise that Bayern has won this game because, again, Champions League experience, a lot of players with Champions League experience, and a manager now, I think, with Vincent Company that has built a bit of Champions League experience. Maresca, this is his first time playing Champions League. Most of the Chelsea team, apart from maybe a Reece James, maybe a Cole Palmer, but even with Palmer, he was coming off the bench for Manchester City. So you're looking at the Chelsea team, players in experience, managers in experience, and they're coming up against a very experienced Bayern Munich team. So I think I'm not really going to focus more on Bayern because I think it was expected for them to win. Maybe, people were going to think Chelsea were going to cause an upset and win against them because of what they did against PSG. With Chelsea, if you are a Maresca, the positives you take from this game is players like Cole Palmer going to be very important to you. You have to try and build your performances around him. Players like Pedro Neto going to be very important. Players like Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. I think in the first 20 minutes, Enzo Fernandez had a chance. I think he missed or it got saved. I don't really remember. But these are the players I think if you're Enzo Maresca, you look at and you build your performances in the Champions League around. And if Chelsea are to go really far in this competition, these are the players you'd be expecting. Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer. These are the players you'd be expecting to be putting in 10 out of 10 performances every game. The only negatives, as I've said earlier, you take from this game is the mistakes. experienced Champions League teams are going to capitalize when you make mistakes. If you come up against a PSG, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, I mean, they have Barcelona coming up soon. These teams are going to capitalize on mistakes that you make. They're going to definitely capitalize on mistakes that you make. So you have to minimize those mistakes and get performance from your key players in matches like this. I don't really have much to say about the Chelsea players apart from, again, a lot of potential, a lot of quality, not enough quality to beat a Bayern Munich in terms of quality players. If you're going band for band quality players, I think Bayern do have the advantage in terms of numbers. Maybe Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and maybe Aicedo take that from Bayern. But I think in terms of overall quality, they do have that in abundance. So you have to reduce the mistakes if you're Chelsea, and definitely have to maximize on your quality players, and make sure that you do get the most out of them. Good performance from Bayern. They play good football. I've not watched a lot of Bayern Munich games this season. They've played good football, and I like what I saw today. Definitely will be keeping an eye on them as the season goes, and as they come up against better opposition in the Champions League. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them and see how far they do make it in the Champions League, because I think if they keep playing like this, they're definitely going to be making it far with players like Olise, Harry Kane. I think even Konrad Laimer, is probably going to go undetected in this game. I think even Konrad Laimer played very well in this match. So Bayern Munich, I think from this performance today, definitely a team to keep an eye on. Chelsea, you just have to smoothen the rough edges, because there were a lot of rough edges today, and I don't really want to say too much about that because I do put that down to inexperience, but there were a lot of rough edges today, and yeah, definitely a bad performance for Chelsea in terms of the mistakes, and a decent performance, a good performance from Bayern Munich, and something that they can build on. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. As usual, any feedback from you guys would be greatly appreciated.